name is Kathy Orlando, and I work as the International Outreach Manager for Citizens Climate Lobby. Welcome to the Around the World Spotlight on amazing stories from just four of many of our volunteers across the world. We are in 60 countries, and I only have time to just highlight 4 of our volunteers. The first story, I'm hoping they're in this order, will come from Latin America. Isatis Cintron will show you what's going on in Latin America. And then you will hear very empowering stories of what's going on the continent of Africa from David Michael Chirangwa. If you didn't already know this, we have a whole division at Citizens Climate Lobby that is lobbying the European Union, and you will get a summary story about that. And then lastly, full disclosure, my daughter, Sophia Mathur, will, you just have a 2-minute video from her when she broadcast live last week from City Hall in our city here in Sudbury, just to give you a feel of just what's going on around the world. And hopefully at the end, we will have time to answer a question or two. Fingers crossed. Go ahead, Sarah, start the video, please.
Hi, everyone. My name is Isatis Cintron, and I'm very happy to be with all of you here today. First of all, I want to thank you for taking your time and to come into this session and, taking the space on your day, giving everything that is happening out there in the world to talk with us and see what is going on. I am very happy and very grateful to coordinate and be supporting our teams in Latin America, because it keeps me going and it keeps me being hopeful about a future we can all thrive. So I'm very happy to talk to you today about some of the work that our volunteers and chapters have been laying down, like just working through the pandemic. So I want to, I'm very happy to announce that despite the pandemic, we have seen an increase of up to 50% per chapter, especially in the areas of Mexico, Colombia, and Argentina. And this has only been possible because the groundwork and the commitment of our volunteers. So I'm very proud of the work that they are doing, and I want to take this time to invite you to congratulate them with me. In terms of the specific, 2020 was supposed to be a year that will mark incredibly ambitious commitment on climate action. Unfortunately, we have seen the effects of the pandemic, not only affecting our public health systems, but also affecting the level of commitment and work that governments can put forward. But I want to highlight some of the wins that we have had. So we have seen that Colombia has been working closely with their governments into trying to establish or declare climate emergency, which will lay the foundation for us to be able to ask for more ambitious carbon pricing. And this has strengthened our networks and connections in the country, and moreover has allowed them the opportunity to work closely with their government officials and supporting them into trying to make this declaration a possibility. We have seen Mexico that have been working very profoundly and technically in policy analysis work. So they have been doing their homework into analyzing a myriad of laws, regulations, and projects that have been proposed to try to identify what are the best entry points for a carbon pricing mechanism. What is the best way forward? This group of incredibly talented individuals that we have in Mexico have done an amazing, like quality of work that they are carrying forward and will be expanding in the next few months. I cannot leave without highlighting the work that our chapters in Chile and Colombia have been doing into maintaining the connections between climate change and the pandemic in the public media. So they have been very vocal about these issues in their local news. And last but not least, we were able to send 7 different workshops internationally throughout the region, and having some participants also from Europe in collaboration with Climate Interactive and the Institute of Technology of Buenos Aires in Argentina. So we are very happy to have been able to empower individuals and give them the tools to work towards climate solutions. So with all this, there is one takeaway, and it's that there is nothing that can stop a CCLer, and that we are coming stronger, committed into working for the climate smart future that we all need. Thank you all for being here with me, and have a nice day. Bye.
Hi, my name is David Michael. I'm the Africa Regional Coordinator for Citizens Climate Lobby. This year, 2020, we started up with very strong hopes. We developed our calendar for the year with several activities lined up. First, we started with climate strikes. And then secondly, we decided to reach out to our governments, requesting them to join the Carbon Leadership Coalition of the World Bank. And our volunteers were magnanimous enough to write and deliver letters to their ministers for environment, requesting them to join the CPRC. And we got very good response from different governments, especially Burundi and the Gambia, who accepted and have even joined the Carbon Leadership Coalition. Altogether, 12 countries actively participated in this call for action. As we were doing this, suddenly the COVID-19 appeared, and it looked as if all hope was lost. But we got ourselves back together and planned better. And with the help of our global outreach manager, we were able to do the climate interactive. First, it was on WhatsApp, and it was very interesting. I don't know how many of you who have ever had a meeting on WhatsApp. You need to try this. You need to contact Kathy to teach you how to do this. And then we did another simulation via Zoom. And one very interesting aspect of this simulation is that we realized that with carbon pricing, with renewable energy, taking out coal, and doing organic agriculture, we are bringing down the temperatures. We are moving forward, planning for the World Environment Day, June 5th. And with COVID-19 around, we are not stopping. We will continue to work and work harder. Thank you very much.
Hello, CCL US Conference. I can't believe it's a year since I was with you in Washington. Thank you so much for making us so welcome last year. I'm bursting to update you on what's going on in Europe, so here goes. We've been active at national government level for a few years, By June last year, we launched a cooperative initiative from across 11 different countries directly for EU legislation. By November, we organised our first joint international lobbying experiment, and in February this year, we had volunteers travel from 7 countries, backed up by preparation from many more. This is the political landscape in Europe, with 8 major party groups from 26 different countries. This is the November Scouting Party. And here's the lobby team from February at training in Brussels before we went in. The fabulous moment before you enter the corridors of power, and then face-to-face meetings, one after another. Then there's the obligatory selfie in the heart of our parliamentary democracy. And then back to work. This is the count of all of the lobby meetings we've done since November, and you can see the impact in both November and February, as well as what's happening now, which is a transition to online lobbying. This is that same graph, but now broken out by party allegiance. And the big colour blocks you can see here represent the larger party groups, which is where there is a majority for voting purposes. This shows the numbers by party and by the key committees that we're seeking to influence. There's the Environment Committee, Trade, Economy and International Affairs. As a group, we have to be very selective about where we use our scarce resources because we just don't have the capacity to engage en masse. I want to share with you some of the highlights from some of these meetings. So these are statements or comments from either MEPs or their advisors. One large party, you have met with the cream of our party group, and how can we connect with other party group supporters to bridge across the party divides. Another large party, your approach to the border carbon adjustment is clearer than we are hearing from the Commission. And a suggestion that we can ask for CCL to present at the EU parliamentary hearing as expert witnesses. One of the small party groups, delightful quote, your policy is better than ours. Another large party, we typically were asking most meetings how they scored our policy out of 10, really is just as a way of asking follow-up questions. So it was delightful to get the answer 10 from one of the political advisors, and somebody else nearly fell off their chair at the point when they said, you mean this is actually implemented in Canada? The EU Green Deal was launched at COP25 in Madrid. It contains many aspirational goals that are particularly well aligned with carbon fee and dividend. This is our target legislative vehicle for most of our work at a European level now. This is from Can Europe and highlights the level of influence on policy over time, and at the bottom, the formal legislative process that the European Union goes through. So the big green arrow at the top is the November to February timeframe for influence. And down here at the bottom, circled in red, you can't read it, but it's actually the public consultation process, which is just beginning. So in the last 2 months, the team has written formal responses to the border carbon adjustment legislation and the climate law. The European Union had over 300 responses to the BCA alone, and for us, within 2 weeks, we got a meeting with the executive, and that third piece of work there was a direct consequence of that meeting, and that's an ongoing piece of legislative work that we're doing now. The reason we do this, and fundamentally our motivation, is we want the EU to do its part in terms of more effective carbon pricing, We also want the EU to do its part in influencing the global situation. So we want a lever for globally scalable policy, and we want to be at the table that influences that. And the last point really is just in terms of the process in Europe, the time for us to act and be engaged is now. We believe we have a once in a decade opportunity over the next 18 months, and it's extremely motivating to go for. Thank you for your attention. I'd love it if there was chance for questions, but this is a canned video. So I just want to leave you with the thought that from Europe's point of view, we've learned a huge amount from CCL. We see ourselves as standing on your shoulders and reaching just about as far as we can. Thank you.
Bonjour, Annie, hello. Today is World Environment Day. This week is Canadian Environment Week. I am in the almost empty City Hall of Ontario, Canada, Sudbury. Our City Hall is almost empty because of the COVID-19 pandemic. I would like to thank all the medical professionals and frontline workers for their work during this pandemic. I would also like to thank our leaders and the people in my community for listening to the experts and following the recommendations of the experts. Our city was spared from the devastating impacts of the COVID crisis. Our mayor, His Worship, Brian Bigger, has given me permission to be here today. Behind me, as you can barely see, are 15 Canadian parachutes for the planet, mostly from my community, some new, some old. They are part of a project from Mother Earth Project. 3,348 parachutes for the planet from 73 countries have been built. These parachutes are relaying a message. They are asking for a soft landing on the environmental crises facing us: water, biodiversity, and climate, just to name a few. Just like for the COVID pandemic, we want a soft landing on all environmental crises. We all need to listen to the experts and cooperate. So it's so simple that some people might not quite understand how easy it is to build a better future and avoid a very scary future. So I will say it again. We need to listen to the experts and cooperate. Happy World Environment Day, everyone. Bonne journée mondiale de l'environnement à tous. Merci, miigwech, and thank you. And, oh, okay, I'll show you the parachutes. I'm sorry. Set them up in the middle of City Hall.
Well, thank you for watching these videos of just 4 of our amazing volunteers from across the planet. I wish I could highlight all the stories that are in my head right now. They give me so much hope. There's so much happening. We're all pushing together in the right direction. We're going to get there. I wish you knew as much as I do. You'd be so hopeful. I would just like to acknowledge that I am coming to you from Sudbury, Ontario, Canada, and from the traditional lands of the Tikamitching and Wanapitei First Nations. I am a grateful settler here on Turtle Island. Merci miigwech, and thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Citizens Climate Lobby's training program. You can tune into more episodes anywhere podcasts are available. Inspired by what you heard today? Join Citizens Climate Lobby to advocate for bipartisan climate solutions. Go to community.citizensclimate.org to find more trainings, resources, your local chapter, national action teams, discussion forums, and more. Be sure to like our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter and Instagram @CitizensClimate. We also invite all of our listeners to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more inspiration. And together, we are creating the political will for a livable world.